Well, I'm warning you. Is this on? Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
I'm a little feisty today, and for those of you who know me, that's actually, I know, that's a dangerous statement. So my son's school, we just learned that they're going virtual tomorrow because everyone has allergies, apparently. So we're going virtual. Yeah. Anyway, I won't spend any more time on it than that, but that's what's fueling my fire tonight. And speaking of fighters, I want to talk to you a little bit about background. A lot of you have heard the story, but some of you have not. First of all, my name is Kate Sullivan. I'm media relations for the Patriot Club. Tony, Zach, Jeff. We work really hard to put on a good night for you tonight, so I hope you all enjoy yourselves, and thank you so much for being here, especially if it's your first time. Welcome. You are in very good company, so we really appreciate you being here. Oh, are you first time? Okay, that's great. Who's first time? Oh my gosh, look at that. I love it. So I'm going to say a brief little story. January of 2021, I was in my living room. Rosa was there, my good friend Rosa. There were 12 of us. We had another meeting in February, and there were 20 of us. And then we had another meeting in March, and there were 25, 30 of us. Tony actually came to one of them. And then I met Jeff. And Jeff, how many were at your first meeting in your living room?
20.
25. Right. Jeff and I joined forces, and now Tony, Zach, Jeff, and I, how many? 1,600? Yeah. So, and by the way, this is not a pat on the back for the four of us. This is a pat on the back for all of you. Because that is the energy of this movement. That's what it is. Everybody is energized by all the things, the 2 years that we've lived through all together. They've tried to separate us, but it's not working, and I'm really glad that it's not working because I've met some of the most amazing people that I've met in my entire life. That's the one good thing that's come out of COVID. Laura Hartman, good friend of mine that I've met just through doing things and organizing school board stuff and anti-mandate stuff. So thank you. You're in very good company being here tonight. And one of the things that we always pride ourselves in with the Patriot Club is that we try to create actionable things for all of you who are so busy with your regular lives and don't have time to think through. We try to serve it up on a silver platter, all the things you can do to make sure that we win this election. Elections matter. All politics are local, as we learned in the last 2 years. We have to make sure that we get the right people representing us, all of them. And people say all the time, well, it's Maryland, we can't win. And I'm telling you, I'm telling you, 50 people to 1,600, that is why we're gonna win. It's because of the energy in this room and beyond. So we're going to make it really easy. There are two very, very important things that we want to introduce to you tonight. We have been talking a lot about election judges. Some of you may have seen 2,000 Mules. That is a ridiculously powerful movie. And election judges can really help us preserve the votes that all of you are going to give us at the ballot box. We need to preserve those votes, and the best way to do that is through election judges. So, right now, just some numbers. Met with the election director for Baltimore County. We have 2,000 election judges, which may sound like a lot, but that's terrible. We need 4,000. And oh, by the way, the Democrats, they're tracking ahead of us. They have more election judges than we do, which is so disappointing because we all know that's what we have to do. So please, tonight, I have all the forms. I think Barry, if you can see Barry there in the corner, if you can stand up, Barry, he has election judge forms. You can fill them out. I don't mind, walk around, go fill them out, give them to me, and I will deliver them to the Board of Elections for you. And another little inside baseball on that. When you submit your form, you're not gonna get a perfect little, I received it from them. They do have it, but it's always good to follow up with a phone call. Please follow up with a phone call. Make sure they have your form. So you can fill out that form that Barry has in his hand, or you can go online. We have that, everyone have the takeaways at your table. The link to sign up for election judges is on that table. Okay? So those are the two ways you can sign up for election judges. We need election judges. We cannot be outnumbered by the Democrats. Please don't do that to us. Really, we all need you. And by the way, the form that Barry has in his hand, it actually gives you how much you're paid to be an election judge, all the different criteria for it. So pick up a form from Barry. All right. The next thing you can do is volunteer. We really want everyone to volunteer. That means whether it's for a campaign, whether it's being an election judge, we have all kinds of opportunities for you. If you're interested in volunteering, you can email me, and again, my email is on the takeaway form. You can email or see tonight Laura Hartman and Barry. She's working with the Cox campaign. Mackie is working with Peroutka. Those are very specific ways that you can help with very specific candidates. And all the candidates, please stand up that are visiting with us tonight. These candidates need your help. So thank you for being here. All right. Two ways you can get involved, and everything's on the takeaway. Everything I just said is on the takeaway form. If you have any questions, I have also voter registration forms over where I'm sitting. If you are not registered to vote or you would like to switch your party, you must do so by June 28th. So please, please, please register to vote. I was at the gun show this weekend, getting election judges, getting people to register to vote, and people are fired up, and they don't know that the primary is on July 19th, so spread the word. Do not assume everyone knows these things. Please have conversations with your neighbors. July 19th, election judges and volunteer, please. All right, guys, thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, Kate is an incredible fountain of information. You have cards. We all have cards, right? Kate has cards, and as she alluded, all of the information, regardless of what you want to get involved with, the information is on your tables. We will now start the meeting, and as always, we start with an invocation this evening. It is my pleasure to welcome our invocation senior pastor of the Cub Hill Bible Presbyterian Church. He's publisher of The Defender, host of In Defense of Truth, which airs every Sunday morning, 6:30 on WCBM 680 AM, and also is host of Moment of Truth. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senior Pastor David Lewis. Please rise.
It's a pleasure to be here tonight. You know, the Bible tells us that the Lord gives us life, and that abundantly, and it's very evident from your excitement and energy that I could feel just as I was coming up the steps tonight, that you want more out of life, especially here in Maryland, than we've been able to get in recent years. So with that in mind, let's look to the Lord in prayer. Father in heaven, your majesty fills the heavens and the earth, that which you made by your great power and outstretched arm. The heavens declare your glory. You are the governor and sustainer of all things. You give us life and breath. We thank you for this day which you have made. We thank you for our nation and for our state and all of our freedoms which only come from you. We ask you for your blessing on all who are here tonight, especially for our leaders and those who aspire to lead. Have us to seek truth, dear Lord, the truth of your holy word. Forgive the sins of our state and our nation. And for Roe versus Wade, lead us to abolish this evil abortion and guide us in the path of righteousness. For the sake of the righteous, Lord, I pray you would withhold your judgment on our land and have mercy upon us. I ask all these things in Christ's precious name. Amen. Amen.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you will, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Gentlemen, please remove your hats. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and All right, so please remain standing. For those of you who are new, in case you didn't know it, I am a professional singer. I am not a professional singer. And is our tradition, we start every meeting with an invocation and then singing of God Bless America. And every single meeting, it gets better and better and better. No pressure, but I'm counting on you. I will start, but then you all... What cards?
Jeff, there's cards on the table.
If you don't know the words to this, get out. All right, are we ready? God bless America. Land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America. Patriot Club of America chorus tour. All right, recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, do we have any veterans in the house? Please rise. Veterans, come on. Thank you for your service. I was talking to one this evening. How about our law enforcement community? Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Any first responders in the house this evening? Please rise. During the tumultuous times we've experienced over the last 2 years, any physicians or nurses, please be recognized. Thank you. Any school administrators or especially our teachers, please rise. Do we have any incumbent representatives? Any incumbent representatives? No? Okay, no worries. I do know we have candidates. Candidates, please rise. Also, as Kate alluded with the election judges, I think some people said they signed up to be election judges. Any election judges? No? Yes? Yes, we do! And something that is always near and dear to our heart, first-time attendees, rise and thank you. Rise! Quick, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, this is no small task, putting these meetings on, and I cannot thank enough, obviously, the Charles Village Pub, also our Vice President and Director and Celebrity, Tony DeCesar, our wonderful audio technician, Bill Racine, Vice President Zach Winter, and not here, Kate Sullivan, our Public Relations Director. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've gotten to a point where not only the media, but many of our representatives are doing their best. I mean, their best to divide our one nation under God. And I've got these papers all screwed up. For the purpose of nothing more than to destroy our great country for no reasons more than control and power. And now they're attempting to infiltrate our schools, sexualize our children, and quite frankly, also groom our children.
No way.
We have, at this point in our nation, from my perspective, there are two groups of people that we've been divided into. There are those who will simply believe and adhere to the propaganda, whether it comes from the flat screen on the wall or it comes from our representatives. Then there are those like us who, quite frankly, are educated to the truth. We believe in God. We believe this is the greatest nation on the face of the earth. We believe in liberty, and I can't say it enough. We believe in freedom, and we have become very, very frustrated because we are well aware of the Bill of Rights and our Constitution. So we, from an intellectual perspective and viewpoint, will fight and we will push back. And that is done by, as we alluded, getting informed, involved, doing our due diligence, and researching whoever we vote for to represent us. That is crucial. Never in my lifetime did I think there would be such a blatant movement to, again, sexualize, exploit, and groom our children through the indoctrination of our schools, programming, sports, etc., 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 and of all places, Walt Disney's Disney World. The great news is that we do have the tools to fight, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker this evening, Republican candidate for Attorney General of Maryland, Michael Anthony Peroutka. Mike, hang on. Michael is a graduate of the University of Baltimore, and Michael, am I correct that
Michael's over there.
what are you doing over there? That both, come on up. That both the University of Baltimore Law School and the University of Maryland Law School, neither of them teach a course in the Constitution. Is that true?
That is correct.
Okay. Michael also served at the Department of Health and Human Services, was a former partner of Peroutka, former Anne Arundel County Councilman, co-founder of the Institute on the Constitution, and was the Constitution Party's 2004 candidate for President of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm Patriot Club of America for Michael Anthony Peroutka.
Say with me, liberty forever. Mandates never. Liberty forever.
Liberty forever!
Mandates never.
Mandates never!
Now like you really mean it. Liberty forever!
Liberty forever!
Mandates never!
Mandates never!
Good evening. It's a great pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much for your kind words and your kind hospitality. There is a God. Well, let's do that too. There is a God.
There is God!
Our rights come from Him.
Our rights come from Him!
The purpose of civil government
Purpose of civil government
is to protect God-given rights.
is to protect God-given rights.
All right, well, that was the rehearsal. Now let's do it. There is a God.
There is a God!
Our rights come from Him.
Our rights come from Him!
The purpose of civil government
Purpose of civil government
is to protect God-given rights.
is to protect God-given rights.
And what you just recited, what we just rehearsed, is fundamentally the quintessential American view of law and government. It's the actual philosophy of law in Maryland, in Maryland, yes, and in America. It is actually set forth pretty concisely and precisely in the Declaration of Independence. We've just sort of paraphrased it, but again, in the Declaration, Jefferson says that we hold these truths to be self-evident, and then he lists 5 self-evident truths. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. But in the meantime, let me thank Jeff and Kate and Mackie and Ron and everybody that put this together, and team. Thank you so much for your warm hospitality. And I didn't realize until he got up and prayed that Pastor David Lewis was here. That was a surprise to me, which indicated to me, among other things, that this must be a very important meeting. Because if Pastor David Lewis is here, this is an important place to be. This is the place. This is my great friend who has been here. 5 self-evident truths. We just talked about the first 3. There is a God, our rights come from Him, and the purpose of civil government is to protect God-given rights. So let me pause right there for a second. This is election season, as you well know. Somebody walks up your driveway, knocks on your door, calls you on the phone, sends you a piece of literature, and they want your vote, they want your money, they want your support, in some way, they want your vote. A very fair question to ask them is this: what's the purpose of civil government? It's a very simple question. It's actually so straightforward it can kind of be a stumper. But just ask somebody that wants your vote, wants your money, wants your support, what's the purpose of civil government? And then do your best to shut up and listen to what they say. And don't help them. Because they will, in the next sentence, if you let them, patiently, they will tell you their philosophy of government. And I've done this, and if you've ever done this, you'll realize that many times that what they start to talk about is something with an entirely socialist sentiment. Because they've been trained up away from understanding what the Constitution says, and away from understanding what the Declaration of Independence says. But what does Jefferson say the purpose of civil government is? To secure these rights, the rights he just talked about in the previous phrase, to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. So the purpose of civil government is to protect God-given rights. It's not to make sure that you, young lady, have eaten your veggies. It's not to make sure you, young lady, are wearing your helmet. It's not to make sure that you have your seatbelt buckled. And by the way, it's not to protect your health. The purpose of civil government is not to protect your health. It's to protect your liberty so you can protect your health. That's the purpose of civil government. So that you are then free to make these decisions about your own bodily autonomy. Okay, there's a God, our rights come from Him. The purpose of civil government is to protect God-given rights. We're that far. That righteous government, the fourth self-evident truth is that government is done by the consent of the governed. The righteous government comes from the consent of the governed. Now, the instrument, the vehicle that we use to declare the consent of the governed is the Constitution. Both the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Maryland. That's the vehicle. In other words, this is what we declare to be the deal, the contract, the compact. I hate these guys. They ought to make a big lip. The deal is set forth in the Constitution. That's the vehicle by which we declare the consent of the government. So you might say that if the government stays within the bounds of that agreement, they have the consent of the governed. But if they deviate from that, if they go outside of what we've agreed that they have the authority to do, then they don't have our consent, right? They don't have our consent. And they don't have, and everything they do at that point loses legitimacy, loses authority. So think about this for a second, if I could ask you. The Constitution of Maryland creates the office of Governor of Maryland. If there was no Constitution of Maryland, there would be no office of Governor. Do you agree with that? There would be no. Okay. So if the Governor then decides to suspend the Constitution, what else does he suspend? Thank you. He suspends himself. He suspends his own authority. Now, if he does that, it's very essential that we know that that happened. that we're aware of it and can take action against it. But what happens if we're not aware of it? If he does it and we don't know he did it? Let me ask you to do a mental exercise with me. Sometimes we do this with pencil. Let's, in your mind, let's take out a pencil and a piece of paper, okay? And I want to ask you a couple of questions. I want you to write these down, and no cheating, and don't put your cell phones away. Okay. The first question is this. Please list for me the 5 freedoms protected by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. Just list the 5 freedoms. 1, 2, you can do it in a word, you can do it in a short phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. List those 5 freedoms. Okay, now number 2. Please tell me what the Third Amendment is about. You don't have to quote the Third Amendment to me. Just tell me what it's about. Subject matter of the Third Amendment. All right, tell me please what article and section of the Constitution gives the federal government not only the authority but the duty to protect the borders from invasion. Just the article and section. Just in that. Okay, now please tell me how many articles are in the Constitution proper. Not talking about the amendments, just the Constitution. All right, now please, we're up to 5, right? Please tell me what the 17th Amendment is about. You don't have to quote it to me, just tell me what it's about. Folks, how are you feeling about this quiz so far? Are you wishing, are you hoping maybe it's multiple choice? Right? How do you feel about this quiz? The questions I just asked you, and by the way, please, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this to make you feel bad. Well, maybe a little bit. I'm saying this to challenge you, please. This is the deal. This is the contract. The questions I just asked you really are pretty simple. You should ask them, by the way, of anybody that walks up your driveway or knocks on your door or asks for your vote. You could ask them these questions. And you have every right to ask them these questions. But you can't ask the questions unless what?
My boyfriend is from Iran, Persian, and he took his citizenship and he knew more about our country, taking his citizenship, than I did.
The lady just told us that her boyfriend from Iran knew these things better than we do. That's not surprising.
He became a Christian refugee to this country. He went through Turkey to come here for 3.5 years before he came here 6.5 years ago. And he knows more about our Constitution and our amendments and everything than I know. And I'm 59.
Well, thank you, because what you did, ma'am, is you're hopefully.
It's sad.
Thank you. You're making my point.
It makes me.
That's because we take it all for granted. So we can't do that anymore.
But these are the people who are coming legally, not illegally, legally coming to this country as a Christian refugee, not illegally.
Did you ever have the feeling you lost control? Remember that feeling like we're on break? We're not on break. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Get her one on.
Okay, I'm just saying that's a very big part of my life because I feel so down at the border. I know.
Yes, ma'am. We're downloading that.
I'm 60 years old and I feel it makes me angry. I know.
Questions at the end.
Yes.
You can't ask the questions unless what? You have to know the answers. So you need to know the answers. So I hope I'm trying to make that point that I hold in my hands, by the way, the Declaration of Rights, which is part of the Constitution of Maryland. Okay. Now, over the past 2 years, this Constitution and the rights of the Marylanders have been violated repeatedly, obnoxiously, horribly, unlawfully. I want you to know that all the lockdowns, all the mandates, all the jabs for jobs, all of the forced mandates, none of them have been legal. None of them have been lawful. All of them have violated the Constitution of Maryland. Every single one. And just to finish that point, let me just quote to you. Article 44 of the Declaration of Rights says this. It says, the provisions of the Constitution of the United States and of this state, being Maryland, apply as well in times of war as in times of peace. and no deviation therefrom or violation thereof based on a plea of necessity or any other plea, like a pandemic plea, based on necessity or any other plea is valid. Ladies and gentlemen, that could not be more on point. No plea of necessity. They've gotten you to think that yes, we have a constitution, and by the way, they've used the power of government, they've colluded with media, major media. They've gotten you to think that, oh, in an emergency, we set this aside. No! You never set this aside. You can't set this aside. As a matter of fact, when there's an emergency, when there's a pandemic, when there's a crisis, that's precisely when you need to follow the rules. That's not when you jettison them or abandon them. But folks, we can't make them follow the rules unless we know the rules. Folks, there are 2 law schools in the state of Maryland. University of Maryland, University of Baltimore. I went to one of them about 150 years ago. You know that everybody that graduates from there, presuming they pass the bar and enter into the practice of law, every person takes an oath to the Constitution of Maryland. Do you know that either of those law schools have a course of study in the Constitution of Maryland? They don't have a course of study, and yet everybody that becomes an attorney takes an oath to it. And then they become judges, and then they become legislators, and then whatever else they become. Right? And nobody studied it. So this deal, this contract that we have with the government is really unknown. It's been indoctrinated out of us. Do you think it's a mistake that neither of the law schools, do you think it's just an oversight that neither of the law schools have this course? Or is it part of an overall plan and agenda to dumb us down and to not have us know our rights? So, look, we need an Attorney General who knows the Constitution and who has studied it and is willing to, we need the political will to enforce it. We need that desperately. That is why I'm running for Attorney General, because these things that have occurred in the last 2 years have all been unlawful. They need to be stopped. By the way, they're not done with you. Do you think they're done with you? No. This is all coming back, because now they've established that if it's an emergency, they can ignore it. And they're going to ignore it again, and it's coming back to you.
October time.
So we need to not only make sure that this stops, but that it never happens again.
Right!
It never happens again. I want to leave time here. I don't want to use my time. I'm very, very grateful for the organizers at the time. And I want to leave some time for some questions and answers. But let me just say this. I had a high school debate teacher. By the way, I went to Towson Catholic, which used to be right up the hill here. I grew up on Kenilworth. This is a homecoming for me. I live down near Annapolis now, but I grew up on Kenilworth Drive over here near Charles Street in the Beltway. And I used to hang around places like this when I was too young.
So do we all.
Is this where Baby Doe's was, by the way? Baby Doe's here?
Yes.
Baby
Yes.
Doe's mine coming? Right. I hang around there. Anyway. I had a debate teacher that said, the result of effective speech is action. Is action. So, if my words are effective, if my speech is effective, then it will mean that you will do something. If you just have a warm, fuzzy feeling and go home and don't do anything, then my speech, my words were in vain. So I'm going to ask you to do 2 things. And number 1, I want to ask you, if you had a little problem with that quiz, fix that problem. Woo! Fix that problem. Learn the United States Constitution, learn the American Constitution, learn the rules of the game, so that you can play it. If you don't know the rules of the game, how are you going to prevail in the game if you don't know the rules? You need to know the rules. Secondly, that's one thing I want you to do. Solve that problem, please. Secondly, please consider voting for me for Attorney General. And if you can, please help me to do that. Please volunteer for my campaign. Miss Mackey's standing over there holding up something. Please, if you can help us in any way, because we need to restore this understanding of government. We need to restore this knowledge. You know, last night I was invited to speak at Salisbury University. I was invited to speak with the other candidates for Attorney General. I have a Republican opponent. His name is Jim Shalek. He's a very nice man, former prosecutor from Montgomery County. Then there are the two Democrats who are absolutely communists. That's not name calling. They're just communists. And I was invited by Salisbury University. Went down there, but about 24 hours before the evening began, I got an email that said that I hadn't finalized and let them know I was coming, so that they cut me off the agenda. It was absolutely a lie. It was totally a lie. So when I got there, there's 3 names up on the board. My opponents are there, and they didn't give me a chair. Now God bless Anthony Brown, Congressman Brown, because he's one of my opponents. He got up and got me a chair. Praise God that they did that. But the organizers, my point is this: the Ministry of Truth is right here in Maryland. The Ministry of Truth was taking place in Salisbury. They wanted to cancel me out of that because they wanted to cancel this message that I'm telling you right now. They didn't want that known. They didn't want that heard. And that's all the more reason, Jack Ames, why we have to do something about this. And that's all the more reason why I'm asking you for your help, for your vote, for your commitment. I want to say one more thing before I ask for questions. In my view, because of what happened in the last 2 years, by the governor, the county executives, the health department officials, the unconscionable, authoritative, tyrannical violations of our rights, every member of the House of Delegates had a duty, in my view, to impeach the governor. Every one of them had a duty to but only one of them did. One man in the House of Delegates stood up, did his duty, took a lot of heat, took a lot of mocking, took a lot of laughs, but he did his duty. His name is Dan Cox. I want to recognize, I want to thank you, and I know it's time to do some questions. I thank you very much for your kind attention, but I wanted to recognize my friend Andy Poole, who's running for Baltimore County Sheriff. And I know there are other folks here who are running for office, and I thank you very much for your kind attention.
So before we open it up for questions, this is a live program. There's no cut and retakes. But the interesting thing is, it's funny how God works, because the segue into this video is perfect. By the way, you ended your speech by referencing the constitutional act that the Republican gubernatorial candidate Dan Cox did justifiably. And as a matter of fact, before we do questions and answer, we're going to play a video from Dan Cox in Mar-a-Lago. Dan was originally scheduled to meet with us, but at the 11th hour he had to pivot, and we said, well, Dan, you can't pivot from the Patriot Club of America. The only way you can pivot is if you go see President Trump. He said, well, I'm going to see President Trump. Tony, let it roll.
Across the street from Mar-a-Lago after having a meeting with President Trump. I'm just so honored that he invited me down to speak with me and gave me over an hour in his personal office just to discuss our race and how we're going to win. I wish I could have been there tonight at the wonderful Reagan meeting. I'm looking forward to coming back. But when the president calls, this was the opportunity that I had to take, and so I'm going to make it up to you. But let me give you some positive things. First of all, our rhino governor is going to be at the, God forbid, at the Reagan Library tonight, trashing President Trump, trashing DeSantis as a cheap imitation of Trump, and really trashing our values of America first. President Trump has stood firm for us. He stood firm for our values. He stood firm for everything that we hold dear as Republicans. And that whole Reagan movement that I was part of as a young man, that is what's being attacked when Hogan stands at the library tonight and attacks it. He's in Axios newsletter today online saying the same thing and trashing everything that we believe in. And that's who I'm running against. I'm running against the Hogan-Kelly network in Maryland, the rhinos. We're going to root them out. President Trump is quite aware of this. We had a fantastic discussion. He also triaged in some other leaders in the Republican Party and some of the phone calling. So I want you to know that I'm in this to win this. We're in it to win it for the July 19th deadline. It's looking very good. And we're in it to win it in November as well, because freedom is on the ballot, and freedom matters across all party lines. And the America First values that we believe in are the winning values in America. It's a broad appeal. Many, many people have come into the Republican Party because they saw President Trump finally standing up for what we believe in. And that's what's happening right now across the nation again for this election. I'm proud and honored to be part of that. I'm thankful for your support. I'm asking you to please help us out, because one of the things that the Rhino Republicans in Maryland are trying to attack me on and say that I can't win on is the fundraising. My opponent is certainly raised more money because she's gone to other Rhino establishment types to get that money, and they've shut some of that money out for me. But we are raising money. It's looking good. But however, I need everyone to help me. And the president said this, Dan, right now, he said, Dan, let's get out there and raise some money. So he's behind us 100%. I'm asking for your help. coxforfreedom.com. Please go and donate today the best that you can. I'm behind you. I'm looking forward to coming and seeing you face to face very soon. And let's go win this. Make America, make Maryland safe and great again. Thanks so much. God bless. And let's win those elections.
Okay, we will now open it up for questions. I'll go around with the mic. Couple things real quick before we do that. Please, 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 no profanity. Also, we're all fired up, we're all passionate, but we need to get through this. There's a lot of people. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. So please, no statements, simply a question for Mr. Peroutka, and then we'll keep going. Okay? Is that good?
Yeah.
We understand? We're on the same page, right?
Yes, sir.
Outstanding. Here we go.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
over here, Tony Campbell.
Tony.
Yeah. So the Maryland Constitution says that the Attorney General can remove the Baltimore State's attorney. Would you do that?
Well, I'm not sure it says you can remove the Baltimore State's attorney.
It says that the Attorney General can recommend and the State Senate can remove.
Oh, okay. Would I do that in this situation?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, I would. So I don't believe the Baltimore State's attorney has an American understanding of law and government. Good.
As we saw after the 2020 election, there were a lot of barriers to challenging the election like that. Does the Attorney General of Maryland have the power to challenge all of the aspects of voting, voter registration, and to challenge things like signature matching, citizenship, and the like?
Yes, he does, and yes, I would. I think the Maryland Voter Integrity Group has done a great job in bringing forth anomalies that have occurred in our election, and they need the Attorney General has the authority to impanel a grand jury or investigate that otherwise, or through a grand jury, and bring indictments against those people who have either falsified the process or falsified the results of our elections. Yes, sir, and I would do that.
Over here, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to get your opinion on President Biden's reaction to the leak that happened at the Supreme Court, and how you think that impacts the power of the Supreme Court moving forward.
You're ahead of me a little bit because I don't know his reaction to it. I'm aware of the story about the leak, but
He basically complained about the opinion that's going to be released at some point, rather than complaining about the leak that occurred.
okay. Thank you. This is an extremely important subject, but it would take longer than I have time to really explain that. But let me say this: Roe v. Wade never was the law.
That's right.
That's right.
Having said that, let me segue and say, I'm suspicious of every news story now.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really know what. I mean, I don't have no way of. So I don't really know what's being leaked, and I've never heard of a leak from the Supreme Court before, so that makes me suspicious just on its own. But the bigger question, I think, if you don't mind me segueing into that, is that Roe v. Wade is an opinion. The very first sentence of the Constitution of the United States says this. It says all. Stop right there. What's all mean? All legislative power herein granted is vested in a Congress. So all lawmaking power is in the Congress. So if here's the math question, okay? If all lawmaking power is in the Congress, how much is left over for the courts?
Zero.
Very good. I'm just Towson group. This is a college crowd. So zero. By the way, how much is left over for the executive to make law by an executive order? Zero. All lawmaking power is in Congress, right? By the way, that's true at the state level too. So Roe v. Wade is from what branch of government?
Judicial.
The judicial. All right. Do they have lawmaking power? No. So how can Roe v. Wade be law? Well, it's at the top of the page it says opinion, right? Courts don't make law. Courts resolve, adjudicate cases and controversies that come before them. So the only people, actually, think about this, is a big thought, ready? The only people that Roe v. Wade affected were Roe and Wade. But we were convinced, we were made to think it was the law of the land. It never was, and it never was. So, it never was law. It never should have been given any weight. And overturning it is okay with me. That's fine. The Supreme Court would do that. But it was never necessary for us to follow the law. It was never necessary for Roe v. Wade to be changed for the Attorney General, for example, to prosecute murderers. He always could, and he can now. And if I was Attorney General, I understand, by the way, Jack, when light begins. I mean, I know a lot of people are confused by that, but I'm not. By the way, I'm not confused about what shall not be infringed means either. That question hasn't been answered yet. Thank you.
That was my question. The current Attorney General, Brian Frosh, has done a lot of screwy things between going after President Trump, not challenging sanctuary areas, not supporting the other attorney generals who went after the border. Where did he screw up the most?
Yo hablo inglés. Where did he screw up? I didn't think that was going to be your question. No, a lot of all those things where he spent, I think he's got 20 different lawsuits or actions with regard to the Trump administration. He's wasted a lot of this. That's not really part of his jurisdiction. The Article 5 of the Constitution of Maryland, by the way, lists 4 things the Attorney General is supposed to do. And only those 4 things, right? He's supposed to give written opinions when he's asked for them. He's supposed to help state's attorneys when he's asked. He's supposed to prosecute the laws. And he's supposed to, according to what the law is, he's also supposed to represent the state of Maryland in all appellate courts. Those are the 4 things he's supposed to do. That's it. Taking all these actions against Trump, I believe we're outside his jurisdiction, and I would never. By the way, the Attorney General's office has like 460 attorneys, and don't hold me to this, but if I was elected Attorney General, we'd have like more like 46 attorneys. Many of the things that the Attorney General is involved in, whether it be like going after people who give predatory loans or whatever, are silly. They're just expansions of power. And every time you expand the power of government, you deny the liberty of the people.
Down here, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Peroutka, thank you for being here. Thank you. We all appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
One question. If you become Attorney General, will you review the restrictive concealed carry laws?
Hallelujah.
Your carry permit is the Second Amendment.
Yes.
Which, by the way, doesn't give you the right, it protects it, preserves it. But the right comes from God. You have the right to defend yourself. And it's singular to me, and I think you know this. It's singular that during a time when government is doing everything it can to make our communities less safe, they want to take away your ability to defend yourself. That's right. No, the Second Amendment is your carry permit. Yes, sir.
As actually kind of an adjunct to that there, so as Attorney General, I mean, what could you actually do to influence changing those carry laws to make it more open for those who are legally able to actually own firearms? And then segue into how that would impact all those who have actual legal medical marijuana licenses.
Let me go one at a time. I think that the way that the preamble of the Constitution talks about to establish justice. How do you establish justice? You establish justice by punishing injustice, right? So the language in the Second Amendment shall not be infringed. To me, is some of the broadest language in the Constitution. In other words, it says shall not be infringed from anywhere by anybody, right? So it gives, in my view, every level and branch of government the authority to intervene, interpose on behalf of their constituent, the individual, against anybody who would infringe. So if the federal government infringes, the state could go, no, you can't do that. It would protect the citizen. The local government, the local sheriff should interpose. So everybody who takes an oath to the Constitution has the ability to use whatever power that office is, whether it's sheriff, police chief, whatever it is, to interpose against anybody who would infringe your right to carry. The Attorney General is no difference. The Attorney General, I would prosecute anybody who would infringe on your right to keep and bear arms. I would investigate and prosecute anybody who would make that infringement. Sorry for the long answer. It's really a short answer.
Going once? Yeah. Going twice?
Over here.
Where?
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jack Ames.
Thank you, General Peroutka. It has a nice sound to it, doesn't it? Other than their gender, do you see any real difference politically between Martin O'Malley and your probable appointment, Katie Curran O'Malley? And how would you campaign against them?
Well, interestingly, I was with Katie Curran O'Malley last night at Salisbury, and her approach to government is nowhere near my approach to government. I mean, when I was in that debate last night, I had one Republican opponents and two Democrat opponents. I'm in a totally different lane than they are, because I come from a totally different worldview than they do. Every question that was asked about them about some problem, their answer is more government. Their answer is we need to prosecute this. We got climate change. We got to protect the bay. We got all of the foundation of all those beliefs is that government is the answer. Ronald Reagan told us that government's not the solution. Government's the problem. The problem. So I think that up against Katie Curran O'Malley, she's a very nice lady, but I think the choice is going to be extremely clear.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The executive branch of government either enforces a law or unenforces a law. Could you explain what that process is to the audience, which is known as nullification?
Thank you very much for that. This is a big problem. People in law enforcement, I talked earlier about knowing the Constitution, right? It's very important that we know the rules. People in law enforcement generally do not know the rules. In police academies, they're taught case law about the Fourth and Fifth Amendment, mostly. They don't really have a background in the foundational principles, the biblical principles, or the actual terms of the Constitution. So what they end up doing is if the police chief tells a police officer or the sheriff tells his deputies, go arrest this guy for trespass because he wouldn't wear a mask where he was supposed to wear a mask, so go arrest him for trespass. See, the sheriff and the police officer, they can't just go and do that and then let a judge figure it out later. They're supposed to know the law. They took an oath to the Constitution, which implies that they should know it. They should know not to enforce that because they should know it's not lawful, right? They shouldn't enforce it and then say, well, judge will figure that's not my job. No, it is your job. It's the job of everybody in law enforcement to know the rules, to know the Constitution. But it's not taught to them, and it's not going to be unless we insist on it. We need to insist on that. Thank you for that.
Going once? Going twice? Mr. Peroutka, it's been an absolute pleasure. God bless you. Kate, do you have anything else?
I do. But I'll be quick, I promise. So everyone should have on your table, see Melanie, I did it. I put together some takeaways for everybody. We talk about a lot of things in these meetings, and sometimes it's frustrating because we're spitting out links and resources, so we wrote them all down for you and we're giving them all to you tonight. Top of the list is June 7th, our next meeting, and then June 14th is our gubernatorial debate and candidate meet and greet. We hope the Baltimore County candidates will join us for that as well. A little bit of a meet and greet, and that will be, we're sort of TBA on where that's going to be, but it probably won't be here. So, but it is June 14th. Also, important links on here if you need to know where your polling place is. If you need to know, by the way, spoke to the election director. We used to have 236 precincts. We now have 244 precincts thanks to the redistricting that happened. That means that there will be at least 244 polling places to cover candidates on election day. So 244 precincts means that we need a lot of volunteers. That really is very helpful to candidates to have volunteers waving signs, handing out palm cards, safely from the polling place, of course. But just, you know, studies show that last name you hear is the person you vote for. So you really can help candidates on election day with those 244 polling places, precincts. Last thing, and just reading through, there's a lot of different links that I would love you to take a closer look at, but the last one is near and dear to my heart, Lunches with Leos. CVP makes it really, really easy. Lunches with Leos is a program we offer, it's in the community, to local police precincts. We offer lunches for them. We do this twice a month, and it is all community funded thanks to people like you. We love donations. That's what makes it possible. You can donate or you can volunteer and deliver the lunches. We try to make it super easy for you. So let us know if you want to donate. Melanie makes it really easy. You can buy 2 lunches or 10 lunches or whatnot, and we keep a little lunch bank. And then we just every 2 weeks we donate lunches to local precincts, and they really, really, really appreciate it. So if you want to know more about that, you can always email me, and my email is on this takeaway as well, and donating is at the bottom. All right, thanks so much, everybody.
Michael asked me, like Dan Cox, I think there's plenty of Dan Cox signs for anyone who wants one. Also, Michael Peroutka and his group have signs.
You're right at the porch, right out.
We got some right here.
Okay.
Oh, some right here.
Some right here. We got tons on the back porch.
Please take a sign.
Outstanding. So please enjoy a sign or two. Okay, now comes the minute on the mic. 10, 20, 50, whatever. You know, the painters put them like every 3 feet. I've never understood that. So now is the minute on the mic. We've got a list of candidates. If you want 2 minutes on the mic and you're not on the list, while the first 2 people are up, just come to me, I'll put you on. But please, there's a clock right here for those who are doing minute on the mic. We will give you 2 minutes to introduce yourself, framework, your candidacy, so on and so forth. And then as always, once the meeting adjourns, I would think by 8:30, the candidates will be here to converse with you and tell you more about themselves. So first up on Minute on the Mic is an organization that's near and dear to my heart, the Friends of the NRA, Bill Savitsky. Bill?
Thank you, Jeff. First of all, thank you all for coming, whoever attended our event 2 weeks ago. We had a great time, about 160 people up in Hunt Valley. I think out of all the 27 ratified amendments, there's one that's important, and that's the Second Amendment. And if you lose the Second Amendment, you've lost the rest of them. So that leads me to my group, the NRA. We have dinners, we have raffles, and we're very involved in the community. So I've got 2 minutes, actually 1 minute and 40 seconds, care of Jeff. I don't have my sidekick here, who I usually fight with. So the point is, we have a raffle that's going on right now. It's a home defense raffle. If anyone is interested, I need your email. Leave it with Melanie or one of our other guys. Mike is here. Kevin's around here somewhere. It's a home defense raffle. 5 firearms, 100 tickets, $100. You get them all. So that is what we're doing. After that raffle ends, we'll have another raffle. Our dinner is coming up probably the early part of 2023. You'll all have the emails because I'm on this email and you're on my email. So we'll stay in touch. I will be talking as the months go on. We may have something here in the fall at CVP, maybe a small intimate gathering because they've done a real good job last year. So anyway, Second Amendment, that's what I'm all about. Thank you for your support. Appreciate it. Go Patriots.
Okay, you know what, the Friends of the NRA, it's an amazing evening. There's the ability to win all kinds of stuff. I got to tell a quick story. So toward the end, you can buy what are called key items. And if you win a key item, there's also an drawing for that key item. So my fiance Cheryl bought one of the key items. And toward the end, one of the biggest prizes was a Henry 30-30, which is a beautiful firearm. And she's in a conversation with someone, and so they start calling the number, and I'm sort of looking at the card, or the number, and they go through, and it's like 4, 0, 6, and the guy, whoever was reading, was going really slow. So I'm like, all right, so we're 3 out of 5, and then 1, and then 0. She didn't even look up. She's in her conversation, but Cheryl won a 30-30, which was outstanding. So it's a great evening, a great event, and Bill, if you didn't say so, and if I'm being redundant, I apologize. The proceeds to the Friends of the NRA dinner and auction go to women and children's shooting program and educational programs, correct? Which is something that we truly need because, as we know, our schools are teaching and some of our parents are teaching that an inanimate object can actually get up and do something, but I digress. Okay, next on Minute on the Mic. Holy smokes, we got a lot of people here. All right, next up is Deb Hill, who, come on up, Deb. You are running for
Baltimore County State's Attorney.
Very good.
Okay, obviously this thing is not designed for short people. I think I'm tall. Hello everyone, my name is Deborah Hill. I'm an attorney for 14 years and I'm running for Baltimore County State's Attorney. I had something prepared, but I'm just going to wing it at this time because I'm being a little reflective. Today was the 2-year anniversary of my mom's passed away. She passed away from kidney cancer, and as I'm reflecting back on what my mom taught me throughout my life, I said, well, let me just do a little history of who Deborah Hill is. My father was in the Air Force. He retired 28 years, and we moved to Maryland, and I grew up here. My husband passed away 5 years ago, and my mom passed away 2 years ago, during COVID, but not COVID. Okay, so as you can see, I went through a lot. And if nothing else, it taught me perseverance, determination, courage, and the ability to fight. And looking at what's happening in America today, looking at what values my parents instilled in me when I was growing up and what I instilled in my children, I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss to see how America is looking like it's looking right now. All I can say is that it's time to fight. And it's so easy to say, but it's so hard to do. I think that we as Americans became complacent, became a little lazy, you know, and we're always the type of people who says, well, you know, if you're happy in doing what you're doing, you know, I'm fine with it. And people took it to the next level. And instead of just living their lives, they wanted to live and dictate your life. And I said, no more. To be, you know, to just trying to be succinct. I didn't expect to be first. But trying to be succinct. In 2018, I was approached by someone who had received a letter from the state of Maryland, and the state of Maryland said that they were no longer going to provide prescription drug coverage for anyone 65 or older or disabled. And they came, the General Assembly eliminated it. 65 or older or disabled. And they came to me and said, Deb, you gotta help. We don't have the money. All we have is a bunch of people who work 30 to 40 years for this particular benefit. And I said, okay, class action is not my strong suit, but I will fight. And fight I did. Fight to the point where the state is still fighting me. It's been almost 5 years now. A fight where we were able to get an injunction. We were able to stop the state from eliminating 90,000 people's drug coverage. And I say that if I'm willing to fight for them, I'm willing to fight for Baltimore County. So, I don't. Okay. So essentially, I'm looking at what's happening in Baltimore County, and I'm seeing a progression of crime. And that progression of crime is going to affect everyone. It affects your life. It affects it affects everything you do. I mean, do you go to Towson Mall? No. I mean, you know, I mean, but weren't we told, weren't we given the signal when they had that huge mess going on in East Point where they had the fair? Remember that? Yeah. And then remember when White Marsh Mall started having all those problems? Yeah. Remember? Right. Now, last time I checked, that was years ago. So we're talking about a progressive problem where there has been no stem, nothing done in order to stop it. Well, I'm here to stop it.
Yes!
Next up is Roberto Zanato, County Council.
Don't need 2 minutes. A minute tops. We're pretty fast enough. So, name is Roberto Zanato is the last name. I'm running for County Council. I'm running for County Council in the 3rd District. That goes from the edge of Towson all the way up to the Maryland line. Remember, July 19th, the most important day, that's the primary. That's when you kick everybody out, you bring the new blood in. Okay? I am an American first, okay, Baltimore County first candidate. I believe in no Section 8 up our way. Okay? I want to fund the police, help our police officers. They're being abused and taken advantage of. We need to help those guys out. Otherwise, you know, we're going to be saying, oh yeah, we don't go to Hunt Valley anymore, just like we're saying we don't go to Towson anymore. And I will not allow that to happen. Okay? So I told him I don't need more than a couple minutes, more than a minute. So with that, please, July 19th, vote for me, and I will not let you down. Appreciate it. It used to be 1 minute. That's how I cut my teeth. It was 1 minute. He had a second minute. I wasn't ready.
You beat the clock.
You know it.
Okay, this is great, all these citizen candidates. Next is Scott Graham, candidate District 41 for House of Delegates. Scott?
Gotcha. Hey everybody. I'm running for the House of Delegates, 41st District, and the reason I'm here tonight is that right where Jeff was, I was leaning against the bar at the February meeting, and it was the Back the Blue meeting. First time I'd been to a political meeting, and I just remember at the end of it, someone was saying, you gotta become involved, you gotta become an election judge. And I thought, I can do that. And so I went home and I looked it up, and I signed up for the training. And then I went to a meeting at the Baltimore City Central Committee. And the next thing you know, they got you. So I'm on the Central Committee, and now I'm running for the House of Delegates.
Way to go. It's amazing how things change and how quickly they change when you get involved. So my district, the 41st District in Baltimore, starts down at Violetville. It's a neighborhood in Baltimore, and it's right near St. Agnes Hospital. And it goes up to, you've got the neighborhoods of Ashburton and Twin Falls and Forest Park, and then you get up to Mount Washington and over to Roland Park. And I'm outnumbered 11-1, so my odds are good. Anyway, I know we've got a lot of people that need a lot of help, but I'd be willing to have any help, even if you can connect me to people you know in the city, that in that area, or anybody that has expertise in running an election. I'm brand new at this, so I'd appreciate it. And last thing, shameless plug, the Baltimore City Republicans are having their Lincoln Reagan Douglas dinner on May 12th. It's next Thursday. And we've got Winsome Sears coming in. She's the Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, right? And so I invite you all to come if you can. Come and enjoy the evening with us. It'd be great. Oh, one last thing. If you do have some ideas for how I can win this thing, you can find me on my website, scottdgraham.com. And Scott D is in Duncan, Graham like cracker.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scott. Next, running for county council is our own beloved big huggable teddy bear, Tony Campbell.
I used to not be a teddy bear. I used to be a lot slimmer. So, first of all, thank you all for coming out, and Michael, thank you for your inspiring words. A lot of people are going to tell you what they're going to do once they're in. I'm going to tell you why it's important. Because John Locke wrote a long time ago, before Thomas Jefferson was even born, that our God-given rights are life, liberty, and estate. And those three things have been attacked unmercifully for the last 2 years. And, you know, it's about time for that to stop. It's about time for people to stand up. And this district, the 6th district, is winnable. It's one that Hogan won overwhelmingly the last 2 election cycles. It goes from Charles Street to Pulaski Highway, Parkville, Towson, Rosedale, all parts of the county that we can win. And if we flip this council district, we will actually have control, which will stop a lot of this nonsense in Baltimore County. So, need your help? Next Sunday, I have a great band playing Motown at McAvoy's in Parkville. A lot of you have been there. A lot of you have had drinks there. I know you have. So McAvoy's in Parkville next Sunday. Gonna have a great Motown band and love to see you there. CampbellForMaryland.com, and thank you and God bless.
Next up, I think it's the 2nd Congressional District, Bernie Flower.
Bernie Flower.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Wouldn't have missed it, brother.
Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Woo! All my military brothers have had that beaten into their heads. Do you realize that Dutch Rupertsberger is not leading?
No.
He's following,
Yeah.
but he needs to get out of the way. Do you realize that in the 117th Congress, Dutch Rupertsberger's voting record is exactly 100% the same as Nancy Pelosi? So Nancy Pelosi is your congressperson. Do you like that? Does that taste good? No. Let me explain. 13 January of this year, I had access to every 3-letter agency in the federal government. I was a liaison officer for U.S. Northcom, which means I was responsible in part for defending you. The reason you're just now finding out who I am is because I've been behind the fence for 14 years, protecting you. Amen. Another 21 in the United States Air Force, carrying a gun in nasty places, protecting you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Last time I was here, I told you that 3,000 people were coming across the border every night, and I could no longer stomach helping the Biden administration execute their stupid plans. It was driving me crazy. I was losing sleep at night. So I quit. On the 14th, I registered to run for Congress, and I've been running ever since January.
Hello.
Now, those of you that are familiar with Title 42, instead of 3,000 people coming across the border every night, now you have about 19, and it's only going to get worse. They're coming to take your jobs. They're coming to take your vote. I don't have a problem with legal immigration. Everyone in here is an immigrant. But I got a damn big problem with illegal immigration. I got a lot of problems because I'm a pissed off old soldier. But I'm a pissed off old soldier for you. So with that said, I'm running for Congress in the 2nd District of Maryland. I'm burning flowers. I even got yard signs right over there, and if you want one, you can have one. Got a lot of friends here. Let's get this done.
I want to thank you all thus far for staying on time. We've got 2 or 3 more, and thank you all very much for keeping the side conversations very dull while our candidates and those who want to speak. Next up is Rob Bart. He is representing or wants to discuss campaign to protect women, and this is very crucial. Excuse me. Rob?
Thank you, Jeff, and I'd also like to thank Michael Peroutka and his brother Stephen, who have done so much, have been so generous to the fight for life in the state of Maryland for many, many years, and we just really appreciate it. Good evening, Patriots. Boy, it's great to be with such a great group of Patriots tonight. I don't know when I've felt like this since I was in the military, 25th Infantry Division in Vietnam back in 1968 and 69.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I'm a fighter, and I got knocked down about a week before Easter. I got put in the hospital for a heart condition, and it was right after this Abortion Care Access Act was made known to the public. I read it, saw what it was, and I was sick to my heart, and it put me in the hospital. Had to get my heart back in rhythm. Took me a couple of days. I got out. When I got out, I said, I'm going to see if anybody wants to launch a referendum to overturn this in the November ballot. And so I got with a group of very, very brave ladies, an attorney and a pro-life advocate, because we were getting no help from any of the institutions in Maryland that devote themselves to life issues. So we've got a referendum that we have to raise 25,000 signatures before the end of this month because the Board of Election has dragged their feet in approving everything we needed. Then we have to raise another 50,000 before the end of June. I desperately need your help. Roger Yeager is passing out some sign-up sheets, going to put them on the big tables. Asking you please just put your name and email address in there where we can send to you petitions for a referendum. This is incredible. Roe v. Wade is obviously going to be in the dust of history, and all the blue states are doing everything they can. This act that they have passed on us allows non-physicians to do abortions. They're going to train and certify through Planned Parenthood, $3.5 million a year annually for non-physicians to do abortions. If you're not outraged, you should be. Thank you.
That was worth elaborating. I'm in constant contact with Delegate Nino Mangione, and I asked him to give me not only the 3 worst proposed bills of the recent legislative session, but the 3 worst that passed. HB 937, Abortion Care Access Act. This bill requires insurance companies to cover abortion services at no cost to the patient, while life-saving surgeries, cancer treatments, and even childbirth surgeries do not have the same benefit. The bill also expands the practitioners who can perform abortions and creates a taxpayer, funded program to train providers to perform abortion. That is the cause that this gentleman is fighting for, so thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Next up is Thomas Cromwell, Reclaiming the Providence for America.
Good evening. It's good to be with Patriots. I know everybody here understands that we're in the fight to save this country. If we can't save our children, we can't save the country. If we can't save our elections, we can't save the country. What I'd like to talk about tonight is a program I've been involved in, especially on campuses, but also in some churches, under the title Reclaiming the Providence for America. The idea behind this is to understand the fight we're in now is part of a historic battle between the forces of good and evil. The origin of the fight we can see in the first family between Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel trends have persisted throughout history and into our time. On the Cain side, you have the jealousy, the resentment, the anger, and the murderous intention in the end. This type of ideology and mentality is reflected in movements like the French Revolution, Marxism, the post-Marxist or neo-Marxist ideologies that we're facing on the campus. On the Abel side, we have the struggle to overcome Cain-type ideology. So notably in the English Glorious Revolution, which inspired in many ways the American Revolution. The truly revolutionary thing I think about the American Revolution was that the founders understood that it was part of a providential purpose. The providence is the heart of the issue here. The providence is God's original purpose working itself out in history. That begins with Abel and the tears that God felt for Abel when he saw the blood of Abel in the ground. So the founders captured that idea, and that's why it's extremely important for us as a mobilizing force, because the providence precedes and transcends all types of divisions, religious, ethnic, racial. All the things the left tries to divide us on are overcome. All those divisions are overcome within the providence, because God's purpose embraces everyone. I know I only have a minute, but the point we're trying to make in our presentations is to recognize it's not good enough to go back to where we were. Where we were is where Marxism took root. We have to go forward to a better, more robust understanding. I think many of us felt in the 2020 election that we're not fighting on the same battlefield. The other side is fighting on a different battlefield, and that's why it's so scary. They're destroying our culture. They're destroying our values. So we need an answer to those challenges. Thank you very much.
Andy Kroll, Republican nominee for Baltimore County Sheriff.
Thanks for having me. Another round of applause for Michael Peroutka, my friend. A lot of great points made tonight, and it's about this thing right here, the Constitution. Oh, you can't hear me? Okay. A lot of great points made tonight, and it's about this thing right here, and that's the Constitution. In the Maryland Constitution, it says that all laws must adhere to the U.S. Constitution. It must be made in pursuance thereof. If they're not in pursuance thereof the U.S. Constitution, then they're not laws. The First Amendment, the 5 freedoms that you mentioned, Mike, great point right there. Second Amendment, Bill, you mentioned that, great point there. Those are all in the U.S. Constitution. So we have to adhere to them. I am the Republican nominee, so that means we got to win for the good guys. We got a lot more winning to do, though. So I need your help. I need your support. Frankly, I need your money. I don't have enough signs yet, so we have to do that as well. But nullification is a very important thing. As the sheriff of Baltimore County, I'll be the chief law enforcement officer or the chief law enforcement officer. There's a lot of laws that go in and out of the Maryland General Assembly, and they're totally unconstitutional. But it is up to the executive branch to work together in a symbiotic relationship to help the people in that way and unenforce these laws. So again, I appreciate your support. It's just a short speech tonight. Again, another round of applause for Mike Peroutka.
All right, 2 more. Next, now this is handwritten, so I'm struggling. Is it Theo Gluck? Theo, you know, Baltimore County is well represented tonight. Theo Gluck, Baltimore County Executive.
Amen.
Hi everybody, I came from Germany in 1992 and quickly found out that I really love the American way. I've been in Baltimore County ever since that, worked really hard. I'm more like the working kind of guy, and I complain a lot. I'm very conservative. I like guns. My wife likes them even more. I love the Constitution. I love this gentleman right here. He was introduced to us by Andrew Passaz over here, and one thing led to another, and she's like, you quit being a complainer, just do something. I'm like, well, what can I do? She's like, well, I don't know, run for office. And so here I am, and yeah, I'm running for Baltimore County. It's elect Gluck. You probably have seen the signs everywhere. And we're Christians. We help Young Life. We're very good people. This is a grassroots movement. On my website, I will not, I should have gone to the bathroom. On my website, I write that I will not take any corporate donations. This is really important to me, and this is a grassroots movement. This is not about me going anywhere past Baltimore County. This is like right here, local. I have no aspirations to do anything different than that, and really just be good for the people, and I don't want to be like controlled by any kind of corporate entity, developers, whatever. This is us. This is right here, and you know, maybe I can pull it off with your help. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all. I think this is these guys must be really good because this is by far the quietest this group has ever been for our speakers. So thank you very much. Last but not least, for Maryland State Senate, Sunday afternoon, I forget the name of the radio, WCBM radio show, host Michelle Christman. Michelle? All right.
I am so excited to be here. I am Michelle Christman. I'm running for Maryland State Senate District 35. There's so many wonderful people here this afternoon and evening, and I'm grateful to be here. Murders in the U.S. were up 29% in 2020 nationally. There were a total of 553 murders in Maryland in 2020, or 9.1 for every 100,000 people, the 8th highest murder rate among states. For comparison, the national homicide rate stands at 6.5 per 100,000. In 2021, Baltimore police said there were 337 homicides. There were more than 726 shootings in total. Maryland line of duty deaths. The fatality statistics year 2022, which we are in right now, total of 101 police officer deaths. Maryland was the first state to repeal the Law Enforcement Officers' Bill of Rights. We must fully fund, support, and protect the police and allow them to do their jobs, arrest and prosecute criminals. And I will stand strongly behind our police officers for them to do their jobs. When you step up to the plate and do the right thing for our American citizens, everything comes together. Vote Michelle Christman, Maryland State Senate District 35. Enjoy the rest of your day, and you can listen to me live every Sunday from 3 to 3:30. Renegade Mom with Michelle Christman. Talk Radio 680 WCBM and 99.9 FM, and I love you all.
My apologies. With all my scribbling, I missed one. Last but not least, running for the 2nd Congressional District, Mr. Dave Wallace.
I want to thank everyone this evening for being here. I want to thank the hosts for putting on this great event, and you all do it once a month. You have a terrific organization. Some of you may have heard of me, some of you may not have heard of me. I grew up in East Baltimore. I currently live in Carroll County. I am a lifelong Marylander. I love Maryland. I love people. I love the United States of America, just like every single person in this room. Now, I've not been a political insider. I've been working in the trenches, behind the scenes, and sometimes in front of the scenes when we put on the Tea Party bus trips. We started in 2009, 2010, 11, 12, until they completely went away. I didn't start a Tea Party group. I started Restore America's Mission. So it's founded on the philosophy of the United States that's in our Declaration of Independence. I followed through and applied the principles and the rules that we all follow within our organization as the founding principles, the Constitution of the United States, and those rights that are granted by God to protect us, our rights and our privileges. Where government has power, it doesn't have a right to take them away. In addition to that, I've been a graduate of Salisbury, and I'm so disappointed to hear what Mr. Peroutka said tonight. I love that school. I have stopped giving to them as an alum because of what I've seen them doing way before you saw what happened to you. In addition to that, though, I have a degree in biology. I worked at NIH for 3 years. I'm a science guy. No one is going to buffalo us about vaccines, but especially about therapeutics that work. And we know therapeutics work. I've been working with a doctor overseas now since March 3rd, 2020. And we saw his first patient die, and he came to me and he said, "What do I do?" I said, "You practice medicine, you don't follow rules by a ministry." And lo and behold, I'm out of time. But if you want to learn more about me, I'm pro-life, I'm pro-Second Amendment, I'm not going to allow any tax increases, and I'm going to make sure that parental rights stay. And I'll leave you with one last thing if I have a moment. And that is, Mr. Fosdick wrote that a democracy, a constitutional republic, provides that extraordinary possibilities come from ordinary people. And every single one of us should cherish these rights, fight for these rights, protect them, and right now we have to restore them. And I'm asking you for your support on July 19th, and if you want to talk to me after this event, I'll be very glad to do so. Thank you so much. God bless everyone here, and God bless this beautiful America that we all love and cherish.
So you're a biologist?
Yes, sir.
So I have one question for you. Sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you, now take your time. Can you, sir, identify a man versus a woman? Yes or no?
Yes, sir,
There
because
we
I
go.
identify.
We have a winner! Thank you. All right, before we do the drawing, and again, thank you all very much. We do have one upcoming announcement, and then we will wrap this up. Kate?
Hang on, wait. I gotta go.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Caesar's Corner, the great king.
I know you're tired of listening to these people, so I'm gonna switch it up a little bit.
That's right.
So, real quick, just so everybody knows, this is my 1-year anniversary with this crowd, right? You want to know what brought me here? My first meeting, a fight broke out. And I was like, these are my kind of people. When they're fighting for a pledge, Mike Doors can back me up. We cut our teeth across the street in that bar in college. Just kidding. But anyway, I do want to share a couple of things, and then Kate's going to take the mic again. First of all, I knew Dan couldn't be here. We tried to get Jordana. Jordana couldn't be here, but I have a very big surprise. I sat in front of a computer for 3 hours today waiting for that Dan Cox video. Jordana's texting me the entire time, oh, I got a big thing, I got a big thing, I got a big thing. It just came through. General Flynn just endorsed Jordana.
All right.
Lastly, my last thing. I was the guy that told Scott to get up, go do something. He was talking about me. I was waving him in the back. But seriously, Zach Winter and I sat down a year ago and said, who do we know that's pissed off enough to come talk and stop talking about it and do something? A year ago. There were 240 people on that list when I got my hands on it. There's 1,600 now, all right? We had no marketing material. All we knew, there was a lot of pissed off people, and I get tired of people complaining. I said, either get up and do something, or I'm done with you. You're dead to me, right? But not really. But the truth is, listen, I will tell you this right now. We have been approached by 2 separate producers on Real America's News about getting on their program for what you guys have all done, okay? Getting this group to where it is. That's why we had to change the name of the club, okay? They're watching what we do. They read every single email that we send out. We're not only outworking everybody in Maryland, we're outworking everybody in the country, and that's coming from them, okay? Just to give you guys some perspective, that's where we're going. So, real quick, grassroots stuff. Zach and I, we have no inhibitions whatsoever. I literally see people with a flag on the back of their car and follow them into gas stations now. I'm not kidding you. I hand them. So listen, what I do do is we have these great little cards, these Patriot Club of America cards. Keep them in your car. There's a stack of them over there. When you're out and about or whatever, it's a great icebreaker. Hey, you want to go save the country? Just hand them one. These things are great. Seriously. That's how you get people to stop complaining and do something. Okay? All right, that's all I got.
Thank you. All right, Tony, I see your flag pull over, but I raise you my neighbor that I've never met before who has an awesome sign in front of his yard. I knocked on his door today with Laura, and we convinced him to come to the meeting today, so welcome. All right, so I know we're really doing well on time. I just wanted to say, homework from Kate Sullivan. Find out which district you live in. Please find out. That's all you have to do. We've given you the resources. You must find out. You need to know your congressional district. You need to know your legislative district, and you must know your councilmanic district, because if you don't know that, you won't be paying attention to who you need to vote for. So please do that. Speaking of Tony, myself, Jim, and Ginny, we're all running for councilmanic, well, District 3, doesn't matter, we're running for Central Committee. So look for us on the Baltimore County ballot. And lastly, a volunteer opportunity has come up. 2,000 Mules is playing at Arundel Mills and White Marsh. We're going tomorrow. We will be handing out flyers for all the candidates that support election integrity. So, if you want to join those efforts, Arundel Mills, White Marsh, both of them are playing at 7 p.m., so we're going to need 2 groups, but we're doing that tomorrow. Email me if you would like to join us. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, this is just about it. Thank you all for hanging in there. Before you leave, please, again, take care of our great people that served us this evening. Leave them a little extra. They're all young college kids, and they can certainly use it. All right, now you all